whole month, we're going to be talking about a topic that I believe is so important, and that's leadership. And whether you know it or not, you are a leader. If you're a corporate executive, you're a leader. If you're a single mother, you're a leader. If you're an employee, you're a leader. If you're a teenager, if you're in college, you're a leader. And God teaches us not just how to be leaders, but how to be transformational leaders. I don't believe anybody that has a relationship with Jesus should be average at anything. And so I am excited about teaching about leadership, because I believe if we can be great leaders, not only will our families prosper, not only will our communities prosper, not only will we be able to prosper in our careers, but every single area of our life will become better as we become better as leaders. I want you to get this definition down. I did not put it on the screen because I want you to write it down. I believe something special happens when we write, because we will be going back to this definition throughout the month. And the definition I want you to write down is the definition for transformational leadership. This is my definition for leadership. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying that it's not one better out there. This is a definition that I believe accurately states what transformational leadership is. Please get this in your notes. Transformational leadership is using our spiritual gifts and natural talents. A spiritual gift is a gift that we get when we give our life to Jesus Christ. And natural talents, those are talents that we are born with. Using our spiritual gifts and natural talents to assist others, everybody say others, in the achievement of their God-given purpose. I'm going to read that one more time. Transformational leadership is using our spiritual gifts and natural talents to assist others in the achievement of their God-given purpose. Transformational leadership is not only about making sure that our lives, our careers, our goals get accomplished, but transformational leadership is making sure that we're able to take others on this journey of purpose with us. That's one of the reasons I always say that Chosen is a platform for other people to stand on, because if Chosen only benefits me, I'm a horrible leader. I'm a horrible leader if I'm the only one that's excited about Chosen's mission. I'm a horrible leader if I'm the only one that's excited about Chosen's vision. But if everybody gets excited and everybody grows and everybody gets better, then that's an example of transformational leadership. So this is how I want you to judge your ability to lead. And I'm not asking for you to share this with your neighbor. I want you to ask yourself, on a scale from 1 to 10, where will you rate yourself as a transformational leader? I'm going to ask you that now, and then we're going to talk about that again at the end of the month, and I want to see how far we've come. On a scale from 1 to 10, write that down. Where would you rate yourself? How good are you in your home? How good are you in your marriage? How good are you in your job or your career at using your spiritual gifts and natural talents to assist others in the achievement of their God-given purpose? Here's some leadership facts. Leadership can be learned. Everybody say leadership can be learned. In leadership circles, you often hear, is leadership something that you're born with, or is leadership something that can be learned? I absolutely believe that leadership can be learned. 1 Samuel 2:26 says, now the boy Samuel continued to grow both in stature and in favor with the Lord and also with man. That's 1 Samuel 2:26. So Samuel was a prophet. He worked for God. But as he was growing into that position as a prophet, 1 Samuel 2:26 reminds us that he did not wake up fully developed as a leader. He had to grow not just in stature, but he also had to grow in favor with God and with man. Luke 2:52 says, and Jesus, this is going to mess some of you all up. You didn't know that Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man. Luke 2:52 tells us that Jesus, yes, he was fully God, but he was also fully man. What that means is that as 100% man, he had to go through much of the same development and growth that we do. So if Jesus had to grow in stature and in favor with God and with favor in man, what does that mean for us? That's good news for some of us, because when many of you all heard the topic for this month, you said, oh, that topic's not really for me. I don't really consider myself a leader. I'm not a person that inspires or empowers others much. I really don't look at myself that way. Here's good news. You can learn to be a leader. You can learn how to help inspire and empower those you work with. You can help learn. You can learn how to be a better leader in your schools. You can learn how to be a better leader on your college campus. A Bible verse that I love says that we are the salt and light of the earth. Light changes its environment. Light is leadership. When you are a great leader, you should be able to step into an organization and transform it. When you're a great leader, you ought to be able to step into a school and not be worried about the crowd or being a part of what everyone else is doing. You ought to be able to step into that thing and watch other people follow you. When you are light, you step in and you chase darkness away. That's leadership. When you're a leader, you change the environment and you step in. You're not worried about popularity when you're a leader. You're worried about purpose. And guess what? We can learn that. Leadership is not lording over others. Let me tell you what leadership is not before I tell you what leadership is. Leadership is not lording over others. What does lording over others mean? Lording over others is when we use title and position and power to push others down. Have you ever met somebody that you could tell never had a title before? I didn't think I was the only one. There's some folk you cannot give a title to. You can't call them their name anymore. Like when I met you, you weren't doctor, you weren't CEO, but now I got to call you. You know, when I met you, you weren't bishop, you were John. You can tell when people have a title or a position that they're not used to oftentimes, because they think leadership is when you have power and you can use that power and that money and that title to push people down. But real leadership is when you use the power and the title and the assets and the resources you have to lift others up. Jesus didn't take the power that he had to push people down. He used the power that he had to push people up. He actually took the power that he had to make others better. And if we want to be transformational leaders, we can't take the title. We can't take the money. We can't take the position and use it to hold others down. What we need to do is take that power and position and ask ourselves, how can I use it to make others better? If you get a promotion at your job and everybody's depressed, y'all done got that memo where somebody has gotten a promotion and you like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. Right. Y'all silly. Write this down. Matthew 20, verses 20 through 28. And we're going to go back to this scripture several times throughout this theme. So make sure you get it in your notes. Make sure you read and pray over this during the week. Here it is. The mother of the sons of Zebedee came up to him with her sons, and kneeling before him, she asked him for something. And he said to her, what do you want? So here's what's happening. The sons of Zebedee, that's James and John, their mother went up to Jesus. She kneels before Jesus to show honor, and Jesus says, what do you want? She says, say that these two sons of mine are to sit one at your right hand and one at your left in your kingdom. So here's a problem. Listen to me, young man. If you want a position, you don't send your mama to go get it for you. So James and John were mama's boy, and I was a mama's boy. There's nothing wrong with that. But eventually, you got to handle your own business. Eventually, you got to pay your own bills. Eventually, you got to get your own couch to sleep on. Here it is. She goes to Jesus and asks Jesus, when you ultimately get in your position of power, I want my sons to sit on your right and left hand. Though that simply means I want my two sons to have the most powerful positions in the kingdom. Jesus answered, you don't know what you're asking. In other words, I'm going to contemporize that. You don't know what you're talking about. He says, are you able to drink the cup that I am to drink? The cup means suffering. Let me help you. Leadership is not something you want to run into. It's not about that position. It's not about that power. It's not about that title. It's not about that extra money. Why? Because there's a cup of suffering that comes with leadership. When you are a leader, you have to serve when you don't feel like it. When you are a leader, you have to take calls when you're tired. When you are a leader, you are the first one to show up, the last one to leave. Being a leader does not mean everyone serves you. When you are a leader, that means you serve everyone. He says, you really don't know what you're asking. You just want the position. You just want folks to think you all of that. You just want people to look up to you. Leadership is not about people looking up to you. Leadership is about you serving and suffering. They said to him, we are able. He said to them, you will drink my cup. Jesus is speaking prophetically because James and John ultimately learned what real leadership was. We learned through study, not through just in the Bible, but other writings, that James and John were assassinated and crucified for their belief in Jesus Christ. So he said, you will drink my cup, but to sit at my right hand and my left hand is not mine to grant, but it is for those in whom it was prepared for by my Father. And when they heard it, talking about the disciples, because check this out. They rolled deep. It was 12 of them. And so the other disciples, Bartholomew, Matthew, Judas, the crew, they hear that James and John trying to get power and position over them. So they like, Matthew, did you hear that, man? The unmitigated gall. Did you hear what Bartholomew? Can you even believe that these two jokers would want to sit at the right and left? What in the? So they're talking about this, and they were indignant. They were angry. They were upset with the two brothers. But Jesus called to them and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones, their leaders, exercise authority over them. Here's a leadership principle." He said, "It shall not be so among you. But whoever would be great among you must be your servant." Leadership and greatness comes through serving. You know, at Chosen, we call these paradoxical what? Principles. That's right. A paradoxical principle is something that does not make sense to our natural mind. Naturally, we think of leaders as people who are bosses and they tell everyone else what to do. Jesus says, no, when you have a relationship with me, I turn things upside down. If you want to gain, you have to give. If you want to lead, you have to serve. So he says, if you really want to be a leader, if you really want to affect change, if you really want to be great, serve. Let me tell you why that's so important. Because nobody, hear me, married couples, hear me. Young people, hear me. Nobody has a problem following anyone who knows they just want to serve them. If you have a problem with your kids following you, if you have a problem with your employees following you, if you have a problem with your spouse listening to you and loving you, I can almost guarantee that they don't think you're there to serve them. Parents, let me talk to you. Your kids are not just there to clean the dishes. Kids, I got your back. Y'all listen. Y'all know I'm your boy. You know I love. They are not just there so you don't have to work anymore. Matter of fact, they didn't even ask to be there. So because they did not ask to be there, yes, you need to do your homework. Yes, nobody should have to beg you to clean your room because you ain't paying no bills. Yes, you need to do what you're told, but your children need to feel like you're there to serve them. My daughter, let me tell you how rude my daughter is. I will be in full study mode. I will have my laptop on, Elise calls it my serious face. I will be in full study mode, and my daughter has the unmitigated gall to run into whatever room I'm in, push my laptop off of my lap, and sit down and have a full-blown conversation with me. Why? Because she knows that no matter how busy daddy is, no matter how many messages daddy has to preach, no matter how many people daddy is leading, she comes first, and I am there to serve. This is how you judge leadership, parents. Holla at your boy. Watch this. And I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but this is how you judge your leadership. Not how well your children listen to you when they're 6, but how well your children listen to you when they're 16. Because when you're a good leader, your children will listen when they get old, because leadership means I don't have to lord over you. I don't have to check your phone every 10 seconds. I don't have to know every place that you're going, because I've led you enough for you to know that I'm serving you, that I love you, that I want what's best for you. So whether or not I'm telling you what to do or not, you want to do right because you know why I'm in your life. If your children only listen to you because you'll take their phone, that ain't leadership. Y'all don't like that, I'll move on. So here it is. Here it is. I can tell, like, y'all give me angry looks. I'm going to just move on. Let's just move on. It's anniversary. I don't want no problems. Here it is. He says, whoever would be first among you must first be your slave. Here's what we don't need to miss. Even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. Oh, I thought y'all be more excited about that. Let me try this side. He says, even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. Don't let that go over your head. Here's what he's saying. If Jesus did not come to be the boss, if Jesus, being 100% God and 100% man, did not come just to simply tell folk what to do, if Jesus, who lived a perfect life, Jesus, who never sinned, who never disrespected, who never said anything wrong, Jesus having all power in his hands, if Jesus says, if I did not come to be served, who you think you are? Jesus said, you did not come to die for anybody. You did not live a perfect life. You do not have all power in your hands. So if I did not come to have people bowing down to me, if I didn't come to have people just do what I say, then who we think we are? He says, don't get it twisted. You think you better than me. There's nothing worse than an arrogant leader. Jesus says, if I can humble myself, you can humble yourself. If I can serve, then you can serve. If I can give everything I have for others, you can give everything that you have for others. He says that if I can serve, so can you. I want to ask you this. Are you there in your job, in your home, in your marriage, in your relationship? Are you there to serve or be served? Listen, I'm going to keep it real with you. If you are not there to serve, you're not a real leader. If we want influence, it's only going to come through sacrifice. If we really want people to trust us, think about the blessing of leadership. There are people that are trusting you with their potential. There are people that are trusting you with their purpose. If you really want that type of influence in somebody's life, get rid of the self-centeredness. Get rid of the selfishness and ask God to move on your heart and help you be willing to serve. We don't have people like this at Chosen, but I know you've been around them. I don't like that church. They don't sing my song. And the preacher, he don't seem like he studies that much. And, you know, they don't serve the snacks I like. Let me ask you a question. Are you there to serve, or are you there to? Because the people that complain the most are those that serve the least. You want to know why folks don't complain to me? Because when folks come and complain to me, I ask them, do you want to serve in that ministry? If you didn't have a place to park, do you want to start the parking lot ministry? You wish babies wouldn't cry during service? Let me ask you, do you want to volunteer for Chosen Kids? You tired of teenagers tearing up the city? Here's a question. Do you volunteer for Chosen Generation? You don't like how I preach? Let me ask you a question. Could you do some counseling for me so I can have more time to study? If you got a problem before you... Folks don't complain to me anymore, Brendan. Because if you complain to me, you're going to start a ministry. Why are we so self-centered? Yes, you have to be inconvenienced. I'm sorry. Yes, you have to do things that you don't feel like doing for others sometimes. I'm sorry. The next time you fix your mouth to complain, ask yourself, what did Jesus do for you? Because if Jesus died for you, then you ought to be willing to die for somebody else. Y'all a great crowd. I'm almost done. Here it is. Last one. The right leadership leads to pleasure and peace. Here it is. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous increase, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people groan. When the righteous increase, when we have the right people in leadership in the schools, and the right people in leadership in our churches, and the right people in leadership in our government, and the right people in leadership in our community, guess what? People rejoice. Because being a great leader doesn't mean that you won't have problems, but it does mean that you will have peace and prosperity. It does mean that the people underneath your leadership will be getting better. No, they won't be perfect, but they will have more peace in their life after encountering you than they did before encountering you. Yeah, you may not post a profitable quarter every single quarter, but your business will grow and prosper. Why? Because when good leaders are in place, the people rejoice. And when you have happy people, they work harder. When you got a happy wife, I ain't going to say what she'll do, but you know. Chill, sleepy, chill. Yeah. When you have a happy husband, you don't have to beg him to help around. But why? Because he's happy. When people are happy, they produce. Here's Proverbs 28:2. We had 29:2. Here's another one, Proverbs 28:2. Thanks for the help, Bree. I got you. I'm with you. I got you. Here it is. When there is a moral rot within the nation, its government topples easily. But wise and knowledgeable leaders bring stability. Let me tell you my vision for your life, for your organization, for your home, for your ministry, for Chosen. I want every place your foot touches, every place you go, to be happy that you're there. I want when you show up on the job for people to smile. I want people who work in your department to say, there's something special about her. I want people that serve in your part of the ministry say, it's hard for me to find anything to do because the people that I serve with always beat me to it. And here's something that I can guarantee you, family, is that when we when we sow positive leadership into the lives of the people that we're surrounded by, we will reap positive leadership by those who we have to follow. So here's your homework for the week. In your prayer time, I want you to ask God to show you your leadership gaps. Leadership gaps. Where can you be stronger as a leader? Where can you grow? Is it your attitude? Is it your willingness to sacrifice? Is it arrogance and pride? We all have leadership gaps, and this week I want you to pray about, God, how can I be a better leader? And this starts with leading yourself. Because nobody's going to trust you with their potential and purpose if you're not an honorable person. As Chosen to Worship leads us in this last song, I want you to know that the altar is open and that this is your opportunity to pray about this message. A good friend of mine told me that sometimes we move on too fast and that we should give people an opportunity to respond to our talks on Saturday night. And so I just want to do a better job of allowing you to think about what we talked about, process it, pray over it, so that God has the opportunity to do the super while you do the natural. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you. Thank you for visiting our Chosen YouTube channel. I hope that you were inspired and blessed by the message. If you want to connect with us, please click the first link in the description. And if you would like to subscribe, click here and you will get all of our awesome Chosen videos. Again, thank you and go be chosen.